Chapter 28. The following morning, Nick sat at his desk, shuffling more paperwork, trying to keep himself preoccupied. Swaney had shown up to see Charlene, finally. Nick let him use the conference room this time for their meeting. He didn't see it as a threat, knowing that Charlene had no intentions of escaping. His phone rang.
Yes, Mara.
Sheriff Moran, Agent Andrew Tomerick with the Treasury Department is here to see you.
Thank you. Send him in.
Finally, the morning was looking up. Nick sat standing up, adjusting his necktie. The door opened as a tall, slender, gray-haired man, neatly groomed, clad in a dark gray suit, with a white button-down shirt, walked into his office. The man was definitely from Sid. His crisp, official attire said as much.
Hello, you must be Agent Tomerick.
Nick sat, shaking his hand.
I'm Sheriff Nick Moran. Please, have a seat. Can I get you anything?
Nick asked, referring to the coffee pot setting on the counter.
Yes, a cup of coffee sounds good, if you don't mind. Just cream, no sugar,
he said. Nick wasted no time fixing them both a cup and bringing it over to him.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Andrew took a sip and smiled to his satisfaction before setting it on the desk.
Call me Nick. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your coming on such short notice. I have to be honest with you. I had second thoughts. It isn't personal. You have to understand that I'm very close to retiring.
Nick knew the man was up in years, but not to the point of retirement.
I've been with the department for almost 40 years, and in that time I've seen a lot of things. Let's just say I've overstayed my welcome. When Michelin told me what happened with the department, I knew that Brett Auger was behind it. The thing is, Michelin's father and I go way back. I promised him that I'd look out for her. I sent Michelin some information after the suspension. When I didn't hear from her, I called. She hadn't received it, but she did mention that you wanted me to testify. What exactly do you want me to testify to? I'm looking for a connection between Brett Auger, William Corder, and a man who's working indirectly with them. He goes by the name of Riko Arjela, or Richard Fuentes. I don't recall seeing anything on Arjela or Fuentes, but I did speak with Michelin about an access code. She told me that you could fill me in. I'll do my best. Let's see,
Andrew said, clearing his throat, with a pause for thought.
The access code belongs to a clandestine organization called IRO. Its sole purpose is to allow banking transactions to be made through the mainframe of a protected offshore account. Protected? How do you mean? I'm sure you're aware that IRS regulations make it mandatory to declare funds deposited over $10,000. Yes, I'm aware of that. Okay, this particular access code makes it possible for an account holder to transfer money through a secured program that is not affiliated with offshore banking institutions anywhere. It handles financial transactions for individuals who dabble in substantial wealth obtained through questionable means, if you get my meaning. In other words, their account holders are wanted for tax evasion? Exactly. Does anyone else in the Treasury Department know about this program? Let's just say it's in some people's best interest to look the other way. We're talking about the United States government. Yes, we are. But what you have to understand is, IRO doesn't have a physical location. It's just bits of data transferred from one system to another. And though that sounds harmless enough, going after the person who designed the program is a problem. The reason being, it provides a necessary shield. It protects the earnings of the world's most powerful crime bosses and terrorist organizations. What's more, it's not policed by any government, so there's no tax penalties and no restrictions. The entire system is off the grid, as well as the person who's behind the program. How did you get this information? Shortly after the regulations changed with the IRS, a reporter by the name of Gerald Braniff was approached by a source who was making some pretty incredible claims about the program that had the ability to hide the wealth of those who wanted complete anonymity to establish and manage an account with this system. There's $1 billion to start. $1 billion.
Nick could hardly believe what he was hearing.
Believe me, these guys can afford it. The thing is, once you're in, you can move funds however you want. No questions asked. These insanely wealthy individuals took their money out of their offshore accounts and hid them in the system so that the government couldn't tax them. Branoff was very close to exposing this program when he mysteriously came up missing and was later found dead. When the file came across my desk, I buried it. There are certain things that will get you and your family killed. That program is at the top of the list. If you want to go after Riko Arjela because you think he's the key to the branch in the Treasury Department, just know that once you tap into this system, There's no turning back. Why do I get the feeling that you've tried? You're right, I have. That's before I realized what I was getting myself into. This program has multiple firewalls that prevent it from being breached. It's very high-tech. It copies and imprints anyone who tries to enter without access and sends that information to the people it protects. Which means if you try knocking on their door, not only will they know who you are, but how to find you. Believe me, they will stop at nothing to protect what's theirs. How far did you get, if you don't mind my asking? Far enough to think that my computer was flagged. Flagged? There was a login on my account that I know wasn't me. It could be nothing, but I doubt it. In my line of work, there are no coincidences. Do you think you were being followed? I'm not sure, but I took precautions getting here, so I could give you the information I found. That is, if you still want it. At this point, I don't have a choice. If you have a family, you have a choice. It's for them and the people who I protect that I finish what I started. Then listen closely. I ran a search for international banking systems using the access code. The first 4 numbers, 9909, stand for the location of the bank. The letter F stands for the last name on the account. And the number 12 is the last 2 digits of the account number. But you said IRO has no location.
Nick reminded him.
Its location is an IP address that's designated somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, which isn't an exact location for anything. Could it be for a location in Costa Rica? You have to rule out all the other given points in the Pacific to know for sure.
Andy said as Nick chuckled lightly.
Take a look at these copies of check stubs.
Nick said, opening his file and showing Andrew the copies of the stubs he retrieved from Michelin.
Do you remember these? Yes, I sent them to Michelin. Could these checks have been deposited into this system? I don't see why not. How can I get access to the statements for this account? You can't, but someone with proficient hacking skills could. It would take some time, but it's possible that it could be done. Do you know anybody who could do it? I do, but since hacking is a federal offense, I can't have any part of it. I understand. Just tell me who he is and how I can reach him. You do realize the risk involved. Hacking into this particular system. Is there no other way in? No, there isn't. It's not my intention to put anyone's life at risk, but I need access. I need the name of the hacker. The hacker is a young girl by the name of Anna. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not. Anna's not just any young girl. She's got skill that she learned from one of the best, her father. Matter of fact, he developed an onboard computer guidance system for NASA at the age of 14. While most 4-year-old girls were playing with their dolls, Anna was debugging computer programs just like her father taught her. Unfortunately for her, she's not above the law, which is why she's an inmate in a federal prison for women in California. I can make a call to the warden. If I tell him that this is a classified matter of national security, maybe he will let you meet with her. What are the chances of the warden giving me the green light, considering I'm a Texas County Sheriff? Let's just say that you have a better chance than if I went to Dalton myself. My going would raise too many flags with my department. The closest I can get to this thing is a phone call. Even that's probably pushing it. I don't want to jeopardize her safety or yours. I appreciate that. As for Anna, she knows how to shield her identity. She'll be fine. Are you sure? If I said no, would it matter? Yes, it would matter.
Andy asked. Nick sighed deeply, having his conscience challenged.
Michelin said that you were one of the good ones. Look, I don't know what to tell you. The best I can do is talk to the warden and let you know what he says. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The following afternoon found Nick in the company of Anna James. Aside from the fact that the young girl had become a product of the state for hacking into computer files, Nick couldn't help but be grateful for her questionable skills. He used money from the department's business expense fund to purchase an airline ticket to San Francisco, California, where he planned to meet with Anna at Dalton Federal Prison for Women in Dalton County. The warden gave Anna permission to help Nick after receiving confirmation from Agent Tomrick that it was part of a government investigation. The only stipulation was that 2 guards had to be present. As far as Nick could tell, judging by Anna's petite stature and withdrawn disposition, 1 guard would have been sufficient. Being as good at hacking into programs as Andy had suggested, Nick figured that it wouldn't take Anna much time at all. But that was before he saw all the intricate strings of codes required. There Anna sat, shoulders hunched, head leaned forward, completely zeroed in on the screen in front of her, not a sound uttered from her lips, only the persistent pecking of her fingers moving in a blur over the keyboard. Effortlessly, Anna filled the screen with strings upon strings of alphanumeric text and commands as if it was something she could do in her sleep. She was more of a machine than the computer she was using. Anna paused and looked up at Nick, unsure if she heard his thoughts. Nick nodded with an apologetic smile. With that, Anna dropped her attention back to the screen and continued her typing.
Have you gotten in yet?
Patient, Sheriff. We're making progress.
Anna said with a clever smile, putting him at ease that if anyone could do the job, she could. Nick had to admit, the thought of being confined in a 9-by-9-foot room, surrounded by dull gray walls and a small window situated a few inches from the ceiling, was making him claustrophobic. While Nick paced the floor, it occurred to him the possibility of Riko reneging on their deal and coming after his family, and here he was more than 1,300 miles away. But according to his watch, he still had nearly 12 hours left.
We're in,
Anna said, cutting into his thoughts as she got up to stretch her legs.
Sit down,
the guard ordered, clenching the club in his hand, ready to strike if necessary.
She's not going to do anything. She's fine,
Nick said, hoping to defuse the situation.
I'm sorry,
Anna said, lowering herself back into the chair. Once that matter was resolved, Nick went over to the computer. He peered down at the flashing prompt on the screen.
Anyway, you're all set.
I don't know how you did it,
Nick said, looking down at the inner workings of the program that shielded Riko's money.
Well, it took a little longer than I thought to breach the 5th firewall. Then there were some dead codes that I had to work my way around, but once I got through that, the rest was a piece of cake.
If you say so.
Nick chuckled, scratching the side of his neck in confusion as Anna laughed.
So, where do I go from here?
Just type in the access code and press enter.
That's it?
You'll need this too. I did a random search and came up with the account number, which is 00040743912. Once you enter the account number, type in Riko's password, which is Forentis_AJ, and you'll be inside this personal account.
Were you able to find the location of the bank?
Sorry, there wasn't enough time. It took longer than I expected.
Can you tell me if there was anything about a lockbox in Norcaliport?
Norcaliport? I've never heard of it.
I was told it was near the Cayman Islands.
The only port I've heard of near the Cayman Islands, according to any map I've ever seen, is Syraport.
How do you know that?
Sheriff, I've got nothing but time in here. I memorize information. What else do I have to do with my day? If you need anything, I'll be over here.
Anna pointed across the room. With a guard escort, Anna went over and stood, leaned with her back against the wall. Anna James had a real talent. It was a shame, Nick thought, seeing her waste away in prison. With the right influence, she could definitely make something out of her life, he thought, as he continued to put in the appropriate information. Then he pressed enter and waited. Within seconds, Nick found himself staring at the IRO bank account under the name Ricardo Argela Fuentes. The account consisted of bank statements going back 5 years, with transactions deposited for millions of dollars. The fact that Riko's money was in this account meant tax evasion.
Can you print this?
Sure, but it'll take a while,
Anna said, returning to the computer with the guard following a few steps behind. With the press of a button, the printer started spitting out one page of documents after another.
I really appreciate your help,
Nick said once the job was completed.
It was fun.
How much longer is your sentence?
I'm up for a parole in 6 months.
What are your plans when you get out?
I haven't decided.
Do you think you'll go back home?
Where's that? The truth is, I'm kind of on my own,
she said with a hunch of her shoulders.
Do you have a high school diploma, or?
I have my GED. I got it while I was here.
Good. When you get out, give me a call. I'm the Boyd County Sheriff in Texas. My office is in Callahan. It's a small town, but we're definitely growing. I could use an assistant.
Wait a minute. You're seriously offering me a job?
The trust in her eyes pulled at Nick's heart.
If you're interested in staying out of trouble, we could work out a salary. I could find you a place to stay. It would be a new start. What do you say?
I'll see you in 6 months. Thank you, Sheriff Moran.
Anna grinned.
No, thank you.
Nick sat, gathering his papers. Having told her goodbye, he left. That evening, Nick sat at his kitchen table, sifting through the copies of Riko's bank statements and the copies of Brett's checks he had gotten from Andy. After the day Nick had, his eyes burned and his body was numb with fatigue. The only thing that kept him going was the fact that he was starting to see a connection. Several deposits matched the forged government checks that Brett sent to Charlene. How they ended up in Riko's account was another story. But there was something else. Nick squinted as he leaned closer, making sure that he understood what he was seeing.
This can't be,
he said to himself. Getting up from the table, Nick went over to the phone and dialed. While the phone rang, he went over in his mind the depths of what it all meant.
Hey, Nick, what's going on?
Vincent answered on the third ring.
I think I found something. What is it? I'm looking at a bank statement from our guy. I still can't believe you were able to get it. Yeah, me neither. And get this. He's doing the same thing with his money as Charlene. Invest in it? Yes, but on a much larger scale. I mean, these numbers can't be real. How large are we talking? I've got an account balance here for nearly $86 billion, and from what I'm seeing here, 60% of that was invested in some pretty lucrative businesses, not only here, but abroad. Seriously? Apparently. His counterfeiting ring, the drugs, the weapons, it was just a stepping stone. I think we have everything we need to bring him in. When? First thing tomorrow. My guys can't be here until tomorrow afternoon. I'll call Matt and ask for his department's assistance. Call me when you set up a meeting place. You've got it. Thanks, Vincent.